Daniel Gast only started work at steelmaker Salzgitter in northern Germany 1 year ago. He's in charge of quality control. But he's already wondering if his job is safe. In recent years, the steelworks has barely been turning a profit, even though it's operating at full capacity. Competition from China is pushing down prices.
Right now, China is flooding the market with cheap steel. We wouldn't be able to produce a single slab at those prices.
These coils of steel will be turned into cars or washing machines. But the same bought from Chinese companies cost 40% less than they do at Salzgitter. The German company also feels disadvantaged because, unlike its Asian competitors, it has to abide by costly environmental standards. Almost all the steelworkers are unionized. The Works Council is calling for better protection of the EU market against steel imports from China.
If your prices are cheap, you'll sell your goods on the market. That's what has to be stopped. It's what my colleagues are afraid of. Understandably, they fear our company might have to close down. That's what we're all talking about.
The steelworkers don't want to end up victims of globalization. From the factory floor to the executive floor, the company is determined to halt imports of cheap steel.
We manufacture for, let's say, 500 euros, and they sell it for 300. A business can't withstand that in the long run. So it makes sense for the EU to regulate it.
Salzgitter is a commercial company listed on the stock exchange, out to make a profit, operating on the free market. The volume of steel produced and its price are determined by supply and demand. Salzgitter management argues that China is not a free market. Its economy is planned, and the country produces too much steel.
There is overcapacity of about 400 million tons in the steel industry. That's double the amount we produce in Europe. This excess is exported to world markets. China is exporting its structural problems, which result from processes that are not driven by market forces.
Germany once had a powerful and successful steel industry. It has long been in decline. It now accounts for just 2 to 3% of GDP. The industry wants to see tariffs on Chinese steel for 6 months. But economists warn that China might respond by imposing tariffs on imports of German machine parts. Stefan Thompson says open markets are better.
Of course, this smacks of protectionism, but you have to see it in context. Any compensatory measures or tariffs should only be temporary, at least at first. I think negotiations would be the way to go. The Chinese steel industry and government know there is overcapacity and know they need to restructure the steel industry.
But in Salzgitter, Daniel Gast and his colleagues are losing patience. Cutbacks in production and staff are now the norm. 1,500 workers have already lost their jobs. The mood at the company is pretty grim. Staff wonder if Salzgitter can ride out the flood of cheap steel from Asia.
It is alarming for me personally. I'm relatively young and highly skilled, so I'm not in the most immediate danger. But for others at the company, especially older colleagues who've been here for a long time, the situation is much more precarious.
Whatever the advantages of competition on the marketplace, many steelworkers here see globalization as jeopardizing their jobs. They're not going to give them up without a fight.